Before you hear this story, remember, sometimes the smallest sound can uncover the darkest truth. A lonely single dad woke up every night to the same eerie noise, a German shepherd tapping on his window, staring at him with an expression too human to ignore. But when he finally decided to follow the dog, what he discovered made his knees buckle. Before we begin, make sure to like this video and subscribe to True Kindness Tales for more real-life emotional stories that will grip your heart. After his wife, Emily, vanished without a trace, leaving behind nothing but her phone and a half-made cup of tea, single dad Marcus found himself living inside a nightmare that had no morning. Every night, he sat at the edge of his son-Noah's bed, promising that mommy would come home, though each day that passed made the words harder to believe. The police searched, neighbors whispered, and friends brought casseroles and pity, but nothing eased the dust. Then, on the 11th night after Emily disappeared, Marcus heard it, a light, rhythmic tap on the living room window. At first, he thought it was a branch blowing in the wind, but when the tapping returned the next night, and the next, it became impossible to ignore. Finally, he pulled back the curtains and froze. A German shepherd stood outside, its fur matted, its eyes bright and alert. It lifted a paw and tapped the window again, deliberately, as if it were trying to speak. Marcus didn't recognize the dog, yet there was something familiar in its gaze. It watched him with an intensity that made his skin prickle. Noah, rubbing his sleepy eyes, whispered, "Daddy, is he asking to come in?" Marcus didn't know what to say. He opened the back door slowly, and the dog slipped inside without hesitation, heading straight toward Emily's favorite couch cushion. It sniffed, circled, then sat, staring at Marcus as though waiting for him to understand. The next morning, the dog was gone, but that night, as the clock struck midnight, the tapping returned. Each time, the dog behaved the same, tapping, entering, sniffing the couch, then sitting and staring. Marcus began to wonder if the dog had belonged to someone Emily knew, perhaps someone she'd met secretly, someone connected to her disappearance. The thought twisted his stomach. He shared the sightings with the local officer, but she dismissed it as coincidence, saying dogs often return to places they associate with safety. But the dog wasn't acting randomly. On the 5th night, it dropped something on the floor, a torn piece of blue fabric Marcus recognized instantly. It was from the sweater Emily wore the morning she vanished. His heart pounded as he knelt to pick it up. The dog let out a soft, urgent whine, pacing toward the door, looking back repeatedly as if begging him to follow. For the first time since Emily disappeared, Marcus felt something powerful, a jolt of hope. Or was it dread? He wasn't sure. All he knew was that the dog was trying to show him something. Something Emily might have left behind. And with shaking hands, Marcus grabbed his coat, called Noah's teenage neighbor to sit with him, and stepped out into the cold darkness, following the dog into the woods behind their house, toward the truth he feared he wasn't ready to hear. The deeper Marcus followed the German shepherd into the winding woods, the more his breath misted with both cold and terror. He had walked these trails 1,000 times with Emily and Noah during sunny weekend mornings, never imagining they could someday become the setting of a nightmare. The shepherd trotted ahead confidently, glancing back every few seconds to ensure Marcus was still there, as though guiding him along a path only it understood. Branches snapped under his boots, owls hooted in the distance, and every rustle of leaves felt like a warning. The dog suddenly halted beside an old abandoned shed Marcus had almost forgotten existed. But the shepherd wasn't looking at the shed, it was staring intensely at the ground behind it. Marcus forced his trembling legs to move, and when he reached the spot, he noticed the earth looked freshly disturbed, as though something had been buried or unearthed recently. His stomach knotted. The dog whimpered and nudged a section of soil with its nose. Marcus fell to his knees and began clawing at the dirt with his hands, ignoring the sting of cold earth beneath his nails. He dug until he found a shoe. Emily's shoe. He staggered back, gripping the leather like it was a lifeline, tears blurring his vision. Was this where she had been taken? Was she buried here? Panic surged through him, making his breath quicken. The shepherd barked sharply, pulling him out of the spiraling fear. It nudged his arm insistently and trotted toward the shed door. Marcus followed, his legs shaky beneath him. He pushed open the creaking door, and a musty smell filled his nose. Empty beer cans, old blankets, and footprints marked the dusty floor. The sight made his chest tighten. Someone had been here recently. Someone who had taken Emily's shoe. Suddenly, the shepherd let out a deep growl and backed away as if sensing danger. A low rustling came from a corner of the shed. Marcus's heart leapt. He turned, expecting the worst, yet instead of a person, he found a small, locked metal toolbox with familiar stickers on it. Emily's childhood stickers. Marcus's breath caught. He knelt and pried open the latch, the metal screeching. Inside were a few items: Emily's wedding ring, her silver bracelet, and a folded note. His hands shook violently as he opened it. The note contained only 2 words: "Help me." The world tilted around him. Emily had been here, alive, and trying to leave him a message. The shepherd barked again, this time at the back window of the shed. Marcus stumbled toward it and peered outside, and his blood turned to ice. Flashlights, voices, heavy footsteps, a group of men moving silently through the woods, their faces masked. These were the people who had taken Emily. They were searching for something, or someone. The shepherd bared its teeth and nudged Marcus urgently toward a back exit he hadn't noticed before. He followed without hesitation as the dog led him through twisting trails, away from the danger, until they reached a small ravine near the riverbank. Marcus collapsed to his knees, clutching the note to his chest. Emily wasn't gone. She was alive, and the shepherd, this mysterious, loyal animal, was the only one trying to lead him to her. He looked into the dog's intelligent eyes, and for the first time, he understood. This dog wasn't random. It wasn't lost. It was hers, Emily's. And it hadn't been tapping on the window for help. It had been tapping to save him. Marcus didn't sleep that night. He sat on the edge of his bed clutching Emily's note while Noah slept beside him, unaware of the danger creeping around their lives. The German shepherd lay at the foot of the bed, alert, ears perked at every sound outside. Marcus knew time was running out. Whoever had taken Emily was moving through the woods with purpose, hunting for the evidence she'd hidden, and the shepherd had just led him straight to it. At dawn, he made the most difficult decision of his life. Instead of calling the local police, who had dismissed him for days, he contacted a retired search and rescue officer he trusted, a woman named Dana who had helped find missing hikers on the mountains years ago. When Marcus showed her the shoe, the jewelry, and the note, Dana's eyes hardened with resolve. She examined the shepherd closely, then nodded. "This dog isn't wandering," she said. "He's trained, and he's bonded to whoever he's trying to lead you to." Together, they formed a plan. Dana wired a small tracker to the shepherd's collar, confident the dog would retrace its steps toward Emily's location. As night fell, the tapping returned, the same gentle rhythm, full of urgency and purpose. The shepherd paced by the door, barking softly. Marcus grabbed his coat, kissed Noah's forehead, and whispered a promise he prayed he could keep: "Daddy's bringing Mommy home." The shepherd led them deep into the forest again, but this time with Dana silently trailing behind, every movement calculated. They moved toward the ravine, past the shed, through thick brush, until the dog suddenly stopped at the entrance of an underground drainage tunnel hidden beneath tangled roots. Marcus felt his chest constrict. A faint sound echoed from inside, a muffled cry. His entire body went cold. "Emily," he whispered into the darkness. A weak, trembling voice answered back. "Marcus." His legs nearly gave out. He rushed inside without thinking, the cold water soaking his jeans as he crawled forward. There she was, pale, bruised, shivering, but alive. Her wrists were tied, her ankle injured, but her eyes lit up when she saw him. Marcus sobbed as he untied her, holding her so tightly he feared she'd break. Behind them, Dana radioed for emergency backup as the sound of crashing footsteps filled the forest, the masked men returning too late. The shepherd growled and stood in front of Marcus and Emily, ready to defend them with its life. Minutes later, sirens pierced the night as authorities arrived, surrounding and arresting the kidnappers. Emily clung to Marcus, whispering how she had escaped briefly and hidden her belongings in the shed, hoping someone, anyone, would find them. The shepherd had been her protector, following her scent, breaking free, and returning night after night to guide Marcus. As paramedics lifted Emily onto a stretcher, the dog placed its paw gently on her hand, its eyes soft with relief. "He saved me," she whispered. "He saved us." Months later, after Emily recovered and life slowly returned to peace, the shepherd became a permanent part of their family. They named him Valor, because no other word fit. And every night, when Marcus tucked Noah into bed, he felt gratitude so overwhelming he could hardly breathe. Because sometimes the smallest sound, the tap of a paw against a window, can lead you straight to a miracle. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to True Kindness Tales for more emotional stories that restore faith in humanity.